Good morning, sir. Today's second article is on balancing priorities. So, development goals must be pursued without breaching environmental regulations. So, here it is said that development goals uh, must be fulfilled or followed without breaching means breaking environmental regulations. So let's start with the second article. Forecasts of good or normal monsoons are often beguiling, means charming, enchanting, and belly fail to give a true impression, contradict, or debunk the ominous. Ominous means threatening, menacing, sinister, etc. So the forecast of good and normal monsoons are charming or enchanting, and the contradicts the threat sinister. Means the good and normal monsoons are very calm, and they are not at all like the sinisters. This year, the annual floods that upend the Brahmaputra Valley have been followed by intense spells along the Konkan coast in Mumbai. And now Kerala, which until the end of the last month recorded a slight deficit. So the annual floods turn upside down the Brahmaputra Valley have already followed the intense spells along the Konkan coast, means have already experienced these along the Konkan coast and Mumbai, and it's the turn now of Kerala, which until the end of the last month have recorded a slight deficit. The landslip in Idukki that has so far claimed 22 lives and rendered several homeless follows from a continuing spell heavy rains in Kerala. So the landslip taken place in Idukki have taken 22 lives and also made several people homeless. And also continuing the spell means have heavy rains in Kerala. Most districts have received 3 or 4 times more rain than what is normal, so 3 4 times more than the normal rainfall. Last year, too, neighboring Wayanad saw multiple hamlets wiped out, and the year before, the devastating flood in the state forced a debate on the need for new models of development. So, the last year, Wayanad saw multiple hamlets wiped, and the year before, the before year, there was a devastating flood, means destructive flood in state forced. This forced a debate to develop new models. Landslips or landslides in the Western Ghats have an history. Following the 2018 flood, data from the Geological Survey of India showed that Kerala had experienced 67 major landslide events and several minor ones from 1961 to 2013. So, according to the Geological Survey of India, there were more than 67. There were 67 major landslides and several minor landslides between 1961 to 2013. As part of a national landslide susceptibility mapping program, the agency mapped several states in the Western Ghats, northeastern states, Jammu and Kashmir, and Uttarakhand, and to assess how vulnerable their districts were. So, according to this NLSM, which stated these states have to uh, construct or know how vulnerable how their districts are. Nearly 13,000 square kilometers were mapped until 2018 and 6,000 were to be covered in 2019 to 20 in Kerala. according to the program website. Nearly 13 of the state's 14 districts were prone to landslides, and what made Kerala particularly vulnerable was the high population density, over 800 per square kilometers, compared to other states that also faced high landslide risks. So, in 13 states and 14 districts, there were so many landslides, and the landslides in Kerala, which took place, were mainly due to the high population in their state. There were more than 1800 people for a square kilometer, which was more than the people of other states, which also have faced very high landslide risk. The objective of the NLSM maps is to help state and district authorities incorporate the risk of landslides in the zoning laws. So, the objective, the main thought of NLSM maps of state and districts to are to include or engulf the risk of landslides in the zoning laws. However, just as in the case of earthquake zonation maps, or for the matter, any exercise to scientifically ascertain the risk from natural hazards to a region, these laws are barely implemented in the right spirit. So, according to the case of earthquake zonation maps, an exercise scientifically measure of the risk from natural hazards of a region. These laws are implemented on the right spirit, on the right time only. And this is not unique to Kerala. These landslides are not unique to Kerala. These laws are not unique to Kerala. They are already given and followed. The details might vary, but it is now beyond contestation, beyond arguing that India is living in a new climate normal. A frequent high intensity bursts of rain will coexist along with long dry spells. So, rain will be longing. It has emerged from studies of Kerala topography that quarrying and the unscientific cutting of slopes into hills aggravates, uh, makes the situation more worse for the risk of soil erosion. So, according to the study of Kerala topography, the quarrying and cutting down the slopes have made the situation more worse, and there is more risk of soil erosion. Operan- Operationalizing the state's disaster management apparatus and allocating funds of preparedness are key policy responses. So, for operating state disaster management apparatus, for operating these states disaster management apparatus and allocating funds for preparation are the key policy measures, are the first measures to be followed. But Kerala also must double down on enforcing regulations and observing zoning laws, as well as ensuring that slopes carved into hilly terrain have adequate provisions for draining water. So they have to take care of everyone. What are the enforcing regulations? They have to observe the zoning laws and also have advocate provisions also. A lack of compliance means the lack of following rules with such principle is often a key reason why natural hazards end up causing significant number of casualties, deaths. There is a cost to pursue development goals without paying attention to environmental constraints and environmental contractions. We have to achieve whatever we want without paying attention to environmental restrictions. So today's second article is on the disasters, the landslides taking place in Kerala and others, and what measures we have to take to stop this, and what are taking place. Thank you.